I'm hoping we see the Gyokeres celebration a bit more throughout this season. Welcome back to the Arsenal Humans podcast with me, Luce. I hope you're all good. I hope you're loving the slight little rebrand I've done. Obviously, last week I introduced the idea of the Arsenal Humans fan zone with Jamie Green. So if you haven't watched that, go check that out because that was such a perfect way to introduce the idea of Gooners onto this podcast. And stay tuned because we don't have one coming this week because they're alternate Fridays, but we have one coming next week, which I'm super excited about. And then, yeah, I've pretty much planned like the next few months of the fan zone actually. So I've already got some Gooners lined up, so I'm very excited about that. But anyways, today it's just me. You've got just me back. I hope you're not too disappointed. Hope you're kind of liking the rebrand. And I feel like, I haven't actually done a solo one for about 10 days now, I want to say. And I feel like there's been a lot of random things that have popped up. There's not been a lot of like one particular thing. Like obviously, if I look back a couple of weeks ago, we were just talking about transfers, whereas this week I feel like we've got games to talk about, friendlies. Obviously the Emirates Cup we've got a few transfers to talk about, a few potentials that have just popped up out of nowhere, and I know I'm not the only one that's a bit like, oh, I hope this doesn't happen. We've also got the kit to chat about. Oh my god, what else? What have I even written in my notes that I want to talk about? We've obviously, oh my god, we've got the Ballon as well to talk about because we've got so many Gooners nominated for various awards. So, you know what? Before I actually waffle, let's just get straight into it and let's get into the warm-up poll. So the warm-up poll that I put out today was, do pre-season friendlies matter? 40% of you said yes, they do matter. 60% of you said no, they don't matter. And it's a bit of a tricky one, this, because I'm actually very torn. Like, I think the fact that the poll obviously is fairly 50-50, obviously leaning slightly more towards no, I think I've got to agree with that because they don't define your season. They actually don't contribute towards anything. Obviously, we did have the Emirates Cup and we won that, so I'm very happy about that. But as a whole, we didn't actually, not all the results don't matter, and thankfully they don't, because obviously we did lose to Spurs at one point during this pre-season, but it doesn't actually count towards anything. But I think why pre-season friendlies are so good and so important is because you get to see the players, you get to see players that maybe are new to the club gelling in with other players. You also just get to see the dynamic as a whole, and it doesn't fully set the tone of the season because I think that's what the first month of Premier League fixtures does. But I do think you sort of get a little glimpse of, oh, okay, is this going to work? Is this going to not? Because you can sort of see where there's gaps still. And I think for Arsenal, after our pre-season, I'm actually feeling fairly confident. I don't want to get too confident, but I'm feeling fairly confident that we will have a good season. We will get silverware. Maybe not the league, but we will get some form of silverware because we're strengthening in positions I didn't even know we needed to, and it's really encouraging. So I think, looking back at the poll question, pre-season friendlies, they do matter because they sort of shape a team ahead of the season, but because they actually don't contribute towards anything in terms of points or goals or anything like that, I think that you sort of take the results with a pinch of salt, but you look more at the performance. Actually, you know what, that's a good way. Now I'm thinking about it, that's actually a really good way to summarise it. The results don't matter, but the actual performances do. So you could have a really shocking game, but you win, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, we still need to improve in these places, or vice versa. So I think ultimately, I'm going to have to say they don't fully matter because people always judge it off the results, whereas for me, I think you've got to look at the teams. Later on in the season, it's about the results. As much as you want to have good performances, last season, Arsenal had so many good performances, but we didn't win anything in terms of silverware. So I think we need to have both if we can, and that's the aim. But I do feel kind of confident after this pre-season friendly section that we're going to do all right. And before I carry on waffling about the warm-up poll, let's actually get into the main thing, all the bulk of what I just sort of introduced the idea a couple minutes ago of what I want to discuss in this episode. But obviously we've got to start with the pre-season friendly, in particular the one that's just happened at the weekend, as we've won the Emirates Cup. I just realised how I was like, oh my god, we won the Emirates Cup as if we've won the Champions League. Don't get me wrong, we haven't won a massive trophy, but we've won something, and I think it just puts us in a really good position for the season. But why I think it has is because if you look at the result, we won 3-0 against Athletic Club on Saturday, so this is only a few days ago. And the thing that's making me most excited, which if you go on Arsenal socials, I'm literally loving, like, you know, I'm a huge fan of the slow-mo shots and all the goals and everything like that. But there's so many significant points that they've titled in different reels. And I'm like, wow, like this is actually so encouraging. But the main one is Gyokeres. Obviously, Gyokeres, this is like one of the first times we've seen him play, and it's his first goal at Emirates, so I'm very happy for him. I'm very excited as well. Obviously, you've got his classic celebration, which I feel like I've literally seen everyone just go like this. That's all I've seen everywhere, and I'm not complaining because, honestly, if he can keep scoring and we see that celebration throughout the season, then I'm very, very excited. Obviously, he scored to make it 1-0, then Saka scored to make it 2-0, and Havertz scored to make it 3-0. And I think it's just really encouraging that these players, we expect them to score, and they are scoring. Also, Gyokeres, if I'm just going to analyse him briefly, when I was watching the game, and I was watching a lot of highlights, specifically just focusing on him, it was actually really just good to see how he was moving off the ball and obviously on the ball. Like, he was getting in places that you want him to be. I think a few of the shots he had were quite light, and I don't know if he was a bit off balance or just didn't put enough force behind it, but a few of them I was like, oh, like either straight into the keeper's hands or just sort of rolled. And then a few of his passes seemed a little bit lazy, but he's obviously just finding his feet in this new league, in this new club. And this is, I mean, I guess going back to the warm-up pod, this is probably why it's good that we have the pre-season friendly so that he can sort of find his feet a bit before we play the first game, which is obviously United, which I'll get onto at the end of this episode. So I'm hoping that he's more ready for that. But it's just really good to see him finding his feet in the squad. And I'm hoping we see the Gyokeres celebration a bit more throughout the season, basically. That's my conclusion from all of it, that I'm just really excited to see that. Also, it's good to see Havertz as well, because obviously he was injured, and then he was like our striker, our out-and-out striker, well, acting as one, and then Marino was, but it's just good to see that maybe we could mix up this formation a bit, and like it doesn't always have to rely on Gyokeres. We do have some backups, even though they're not as strong as Gyokeres, but I just think his physicality, obviously we saw that a lot in the Portuguese league. I spoke a lot about it with Jamie. If you want to head over to that episode, it's the last one on my YouTube account or Spotify, wherever you're listening or watching. And we spoke a lot about his physicality and how it looks promising for the league. And yeah, he's just getting in the right spaces, so I'm very excited about him. And obviously it's some silverware for Arteta. Arteta is under so much pressure this season, so yeah, we're going to have to see how that one works out. I think moving away from obviously the friendlies and stuff, I think as a whole, we lost some games, we won some games. No point in dwelling on it. I'm actually just trying to look ahead to the season, and I feel like we've seen a lot of players really show up. I think Zubimendi is one that's going to not get enough credit. I don't think he will get enough credit this season. I think he already hasn't had enough credit, and he definitely deserves a lot more. So I think he's one player that I want to highlight as well. But it's just good to see lots of different players getting game time. It's great to see Saliba still doing great. Like, I don't know, it's just, I feel like there's a good vibe right now at the club. I think also a good vibe at the club is down to the new kit. Right. Everyone has got to see this new kit. Everyone has got to have seen it. If you haven't seen this new kit, what are you doing? What are you doing, babes? Come on, you've got to see it, because basically, I think it's... Oh, I don't know. I was going to say I think it's my favourite kit, but that's a big statement. It's one of my favourite kits that Arsenal have ever produced, and I think it's because of the detail. Like, the detail of it. Every single Arsenal fan that I've spoken to, every single story I was seeing when it was like released last week was literally of this kit, and I just think, Arsenal, I don't have enough money to pay for all these kits. Like, the fact that they're producing so many good quality kits, and I mean, if you even look at just this season, you've got that really nice red signature one with the little details of the A, which I've worn previously on this podcast. You've got also the away kit, which is like the blue one, which is quite interesting because obviously blue isn't really associated with us. I think the only time I'd associate it is another kit that I wear on here, if you look back at other videos. And that's, oh my god, when is it from? I want to say the 98 kit. I could be wrong. I just picture Ian Wright wearing it. And it's like the dark blue with the light blue. And then they've obviously now released this kit, which is inspired by Highbury, the detail of it, the white. Then it's even got, like, I saw someone get it, and I've been watching it so much, like so many outfit of the days, little unbox with me, unpack with me on TikTok and everything. And even the little details, like if you turn up the shirt at the bottom, it's got like the old stadium, how it looked, like obviously Highbury, then the old badge. They've got like the gunner symbol, which was like this one. I just think the attention to detail on it is crazy. Whatever group of people came together and created this kit, thank you. Like, honestly, thank you, because I think you've not only put Arsenal in the spotlight, everyone is talking about. I've seen fans from other countries, I've seen fans from other clubs talking about this kit. I feel like this kit has just taken headlines because of how good it is, and everyone's like, oh my god, Adidas definitely have favourites. And I'm going to have to agree with you there, because honestly, I feel like I could talk forever about this kit. I think what's also kind of exciting about it is how inclusive it is, because it's obviously got the bog standard like normal shirt size, but then you've also got long sleeve, you've also got like a crop top version, which I personally wouldn't wear the crop top version. I quite like a oversized baggier sort of fit, but I know a lot of my friends like they're super excited to wear the crop top version. I think it's really fun. Obviously we did have that Arsenal kit, the AWFC kit that was dedicated just to the women's side, and I still really want to get some of those pieces from that, because that was so good. But I think Arsenal have proved that we care about the women's side, but we just care about lots of different people, which is reflected within all our kits, and it is just really exciting that this one is like a signature piece of Arsenal's history. And yeah, wow, I feel like that was something I had to get off my chest, but honestly it's just so nice, and I just feel like you actually can't tell me otherwise. Like, comment down if you think there's a better kit than that Arsenal have produced in the last 5-10 years, because I actually don't think I could name one. I think there's some kits that come close, and I think there's some other really nice kits. Even the home kit this season with the A's, I think that detail's cool, but I just think this one, it's just captured the world, it feels like. I mean, it feels like that anyways on my Instagram and my TikTok and YouTube. Everyone's just analysing it, but yeah. It's amazing. It is truly amazing. Okay, so moving away from the kit, which I feel like I could talk about all day along with many, many Arsenal fans, and also many fans of other clubs, because, as I said, we're in the headlines. I think it's really important to talk about the Ballon d'Or, because so many Arsenal players have rightfully been nominated for various different awards. So just starting off with the Women's Copper Trophy, we obviously have Michelle Adjeman. This is for like the Young Player of the Year. Then for the men's version, it is Miles Lewis-Skelly. Michelle Adjeman, Miles Lewis-Skelly, they are the future of Arsenal. They're also the present, like what they've been doing already. Obviously, I mean, Michelle Adjeman, she's just helped. Like, when I say helped, she literally saved our nation on so many occasions this summer to bring back the Euros for the second time. So she's not only got that, she's got the Champions League. I think to be fair, Arsenal winning the Champions League this season has really boosted us in terms of how people view our club as a whole. I mean, if you look at all these nominations, they tend to be leaning towards that, and I don't think we would have got as many nominations. I mean, we wouldn't have got as many nominations without winning that Champions League trophy, which just shows the power of silverware and everything. And I think that's something that obviously going into next season, we really need to focus on getting more silverware, especially European success, because that just seems to be the most important. Women's Yashin Trophy is basically just the goalkeeper one. So both the men and women's keeper have been nominated. So our first team, our first choice keepers. So we have DVD, Daphne Van Domselaar and David Raya, and both completely deserve it. I mean, if you look at DVD, if you look at our run up until that Champions League final, which is something we're going to focus on a lot when we talk about Ballon d'Ors, when she wasn't in the net, I was a little bit worried. When she was in the net, there's always that chance that you could go out. It's a knockout competition and you're playing against the best in Europe, so there's always that chance. But even when we got through to the final, I felt like it was more on the strikers and more on the attacking players to score rather than on DVD to save, if that makes sense. So I felt like we were quite calm at the back. I don't know if that actually made any sense. It made sense in my head. So I hope you understand what I mean, because it basically, I knew that we were safe. We were in safe hands. Obviously, there's always the chance that they can score because it's Barcelona at the end of the day. But I just felt like we were quite confident at the back. So it was more down to whether we could actually score. And obviously, Stina did that for us. So I think, yeah, DVD, when she's in the net, Arsenal fans, it's not just me. I've spoken to many people. We feel calm. So she completely deserves that nomination. Also, David Raya, as much as, yes, we didn't win anything, so I think the likelihood of him winning is probably quite low. The fact that we reached a semi-final of a Champions League competition We also came second in the Premier League. You don't do that by not getting clean sheets. You don't do that by not stopping the best strikers in Europe or the best strikers in the Premier League from scoring, you know? So, like, it makes complete sense why he is up there. I do think the likelihood of DVD winning is higher than Raya, but, you never know. Coach of the Year, it's got to be Renee Slagers. Obviously, she's got a nomination. I mean, can't be Arteta, can it? Because I think his job is under question, and it has been the last couple of seasons. This season, oh my God, would not want to be him. He's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders. But Renee Slagers, I think what's mad is people forget that she didn't even start the season as the coach. She started in the background, backroom staff. And then she came in, and within, 8 months, she suddenly got a Champions League trophy, which is something we as a club haven't done since 2007. And I think people forget how big that is, because now we've won it, we're like, oh yeah, we've won it, we can do it again. But it's like the likelihood of winning it once is so minimal, especially when you're an English club. We don't have the best record with the Champions League, both men and women. But the fact that we've won it once and then the likelihood of winning it again, it's just, yeah. It is crazy. So to have already done it twice, I'm kind of excited to see when we'll do it the third time, because I know it's a when rather than if. Hopefully it's in the near future. Club of the Year goes without saying, because of everything I've mentioned about Champions League, it has to be Arsenal women. And I think we actually have a really good chance because we won the Champions League. I feel like all of this, I've literally mentioned all of this is going to be based on the Champions League, because winning that has put us back into the headlines. I think in the past, like if we go back 10, 20 years ago, we were in the headlines of being one of the best clubs in Europe because we had that silverware, but then we sort of dropped off a little bit, and I feel like in the last maybe 5-10 years we haven't really been up there. But now we're back at the top. We're the talk of the town, I feel like as in we're the ones that people want to beat going into this season. So yeah, I don't see why we couldn't win it. All of these nominations are really exciting me. But anyways, those are like the other trophies. But moving on to the main trophy, obviously the men's Ballon d'Or and the women's Ballon d'Or. These are the main things that as a player you'd want to win. Like, this is the biggest thing as a player to win. And the fact that we've got so many nominations makes me so excited. For the men, we have Declan Rice and Victor Gyokeres. Obviously, Victor Gyokeres has just joined Arsenal. And I find it kind of funny that we've obviously claimed him to be ours. I mean, this competition and this competition, is it competition? Award ceremony, I'd say, probably sounds better. This award ceremony is in September, so it's in like a month's time, like 5-6 weeks time. So by then he would have been playing for Arsenal for a month, so I'm hoping he gets off to a great start. But because he was like obviously the leading goal scorer, especially in the Portuguese league, he really proved himself. I feel like he could have a shot. I feel like when you do look at it, for me, I think who's going to win the men's Ballon d'Or is probably going to be Dembele, because he obviously played for PSG and they reached the final of the Club World Cup. They also then won the Champions League. I just think, yeah, he's had a great season. So I do think it won't be an Arsenal player. But the fact that we're getting nominated, I mean, Declan Rice, he's got nominated. I do think his 2 free kicks against Real Madrid is pretty much why he's there, because that put his name on the map. That put him out there like, oh, okay, who's this guy? Like, huge fan of his. So yeah, I am excited that we're up there, but I don't really see it going to an Arsenal player. However, for the women's Ballon d'Or, we have so many nominations. How many do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7. Oh my gosh, we have 7 Ballon d'Or nominations for the women's side. We have 12 in total out of all the different competitions and like all the different awards. But 7 for the women's Ballon d'Or is crazy. So we have Mariana Caldente, Steph Catley, Emily Fox, Chloe Kelly, Frida Mornan, Alessia Russo, and Leah Williamson. I realised that as I was counting, if you're watching YouTube, I was not counting in time. But either way, big names. And you know what? As much as the women's Ballon d'Or, if we look at the last 4 years, it's gone to Alexia Putellas and it's also gone to Bonmati. They've both won it twice. So there's a sort of a theme of Barca players, Spanish Barca players. So Mariana Caldente, I think on paper, has a very good chance of winning, but because they reached the final of the Euros, I think she'd be a very deserved winner for doing that and obviously winning the Champions League with Arsenal. I do actually think that out of all these players, I think Chloe Kelly, Alessia Russo and Leah Williamson have a better chance. In my opinion, I think it's got to go to Alessia Russo. And that is because she obviously helped the Lionesses win So she's been a great success in Europe for country, but also she's been a great success for club, and she's had such a key role in that. You know, that's a tricky one, but I do think it's realistically going to be out of Chloe Kelly, Alessia Russo, and Leon Wilson. But I am leaning more towards Alessia Russo. I do think Alessia Russo will win the Ballon d'Or. And if she does that, that is going to be massive for English football, massive for Arsenal, massive for the Lionesses, just massive in general. I'm very excited about all these nominations. I actually can't believe how many there are. So that is really exciting. And I felt like I just wanted to come on here to mention that. The last thing I'm going to quickly mention is 2 transfers. There's obviously so many rumours always going on in the game. So many. And we obviously have the men's transfer window closing 1st of September, which is only a few weeks away, and the women's closing on the 4th of September, which is still only a few weeks away, just a few days after. Which I do always find crazy, because obviously the women's closes before the WSL starts again, which makes sense to me on paper. The Premier League one doesn't close until like 2 weeks into the league, which I don't get how you can still be doing transfers at that point. Like, it just seems a bit weird. But focusing on the men's, because obviously that closes first, Eze to Arsenal is a move I really want to happen. If you look back, I know I've mentioned it a few times, but if you haven't already, watch the podcast I did with Jamie last Friday, because he mentioned how he thinks that if Eze moves to Arsenal, Arsenal have a great chance of winning the Premier League. And if it wasn't for Liverpool, we probably would, because in his eyes, he believes that we are second to Liverpool. And I'm going to have to agree that I think if Eze comes to Arsenal, we're going to have such a strong squad. I don't know if it's going to be a decider between us and the league title, because, yes, we have other great teams in the league. And obviously you can't put it all on just one player. But I think if you look at the positions we've covered the strike, we've covered the right wing, the midfield, the defence, the goalkeeper. We've covered every single position on the pitch now I think about it, apart from the left side, which obviously Madueke could sort of cut over and cover for Martinelli. But I think having Eze in there would just be great for Arsenal. Obviously, he did win the Community Shield this weekend. He won it on Sunday, so a couple of days ago. I did actually see this video that has been all over my For You page on TikTok. And basically this guy was just recording. I can't assume he's going to be a Palace fan because of what he said, but Eze was walking down and he was like, oh, do you think you're coming to Arsenal? And then you just saw Eze sort of just smirk, which could literally mean anything, because I think if anyone shouted anything, you'd smirk, you know, like whether you're actually going or not. But I just found it quite funny, because obviously he's won 2 pieces of silverware at Palace in the last few months. So who knows if he will come to Arsenal? That is sort of up in the air. Moving on to the next transfer rumour, which came out of nowhere, and it shocked me, but I don't think, like, deep down, I was, like, actually too surprised. It's that Beth Mead could potentially go to London City Lionesses ahead of the WSL season. There's so many reasons why I'm just like, what? Obviously, I mean, if you look at reports like on Sky, they're like, Sky Sports News understands it would take a significant offer for Arsenal to consider selling Beth Mead. There's no way Beth Mead can go to another club, especially not this close to the season, especially when our first game is against London City Lionesses. I mean, we know that London City Lionesses are big powerhouses in the women's game. They're competing on so many fronts. I'm so excited to see them compete, and I do think they'll definitely stay up this season. And I am a bit nervous about the game, but I'll get into that in a couple of weeks when I do my predictions. But imagine if Beth Mead was playing against us in the first game of the season. That would be just crazy. I don't see it happening. They've got some really good signings recently, so it wouldn't surprise me if they can offer a big sum, but it would take a massive sum, because Beth Mead is one of our own. She has helped us countless times. Yes, she hasn't been the same since her ACL injury the last couple of seasons, but she is still phenomenal. I just think that move would just be really crazy. So it's looking very unlikely, but I mean, you never know. In the next few weeks, I could be coming back on Arsenal Humans podcast and being like, Beth Mead's gone. Like, that would, oh my God, it's actually really weird to think about, because what she's done as both a Lioness and a Gooner, it would just be crazy. But I mean, now thinking about it, it wouldn't be impossible, but I just feel like, yeah, like Sky said, you've got to have a big sum of money, because she is so much more than just an Arsenal player. She literally represents everything about Arsenal and has helped us the last many, many seasons. Like, when you think of Arsenal, one of the main players you think of is Beth Mead. So I think for her to leave would just be kind of very, very shocking. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But that was a quick little summary of lots of random things. I feel like this podcast has been a bit longer than I thought it'd be because I've just been yapping about different things, but I think it was important just because the season's starting soon and I want to get to focus fully on that, whereas it's also good to address like the kits, the Ballon d'Or nominations, the pre-season friendlies, the transfer window. Like, you've got to address all of this. So I hope that has been all right. One last thing I'm going to mention is the predictions, because it is Man United at the weekend because the Premier League kicks off. So I thought I'd just do a quick prediction. I predict Arsenal are going to win 2-1. I'm not too confident, but I think we can do it, especially once I've seen Gyokeres. I think Gyokeres will definitely get one of those goals. And if you look at United, they've strengthened in their attacking positions, but I don't think that was their biggest weakness. So I do feel like we have a good chance of beating them, and that would definitely set the tone for the rest of the season. So it's such an important win. So hopefully that happens. But yeah, that is the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed this really random episode of lots of different things going on. I am actually going to do a little bonus episode which will be coming out in 2 days' time, so on Thursday, because I need to make my predictions for the season before the season actually starts. I was going to wait until next Tuesday, or I was going to put it in this episode, but I was like, this will be such a long episode and I don't want to drain you guys. So I was like, you know what, let me spread it out. I'll do it on Thursday so it's ahead of the season. Just a quick summary of who I think will stand out, who I think will do well, and where I think Arsenal men and women will finish as a whole. And whether they get any silverware, which I feel like is the most important question, especially for the men's side. So I'll be giving that to you on Thursday. I hope you've enjoyed watching this episode. If you had and you're watching it on YouTube, please subscribe. I'm so excited to be doing more episodes, not just with me, but with other Arsenal fans on the Fan Zone. So I'm very excited about that. So make sure you subscribe to stay along with that journey. Also, if you're listening on Spotify, please follow. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Also, let me know any of your predictions, because I will be doing that episode on Thursday and it'd be great to hear from you guys for the season. But yeah, that's me done. Have a good week.